product photography, an ever-changing and constantly growing industry. This is truly an industry where every single client you have is going to be different. Their needs, their wants, their desires, their target market, everything is going to be different from the next. Even though they may be in the same category, every photo shoot you do has to be catered and tailored towards the individual that is purchasing those images. My name is Brittany LaFave, and I'm the owner of Mainstream Multimedia. We specialize in creating scroll-stopping product photography that entices and inspires. Today, I'm taking you behind the scenes with me to do an elegant, exquisite, fantastic, just beautiful collection, and I couldn't be more excited. As you can tell from my Instagram, I love creating images that have to do with fantasy, unrealistic, euphoric, just outright magical themed, but today, we are taking a step back, slowing it down, and doing a nice and easy collection. So I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to take you behind the scenes, show you some lighting setups, how I come up with creative concepts, and what I think when I'm purchasing props for my photos. So without further ado, let's jump right on into today's video. So now we're going to start with the photo shoot, the most exciting part. I'm gonna walk you through start to finish, my thought process, and like I said before, why I chose the props that I did. So this is my photo shoot area. I run my business out of my 750 square foot apartment. My countertop is my studio space, and then I break it down at night, and then I enjoy just my normal entertainment area. And yes, I do break it down every single night. It's super annoying, but we make it work. Right here we have this just a backdrop stand that I use because I don't have access to a wall. I know a lot of photographers will mask this onto a wall, that way you got a clean flat surface, but I just spend extra time in post-production when it comes to editing to clean up any of the errors in the raw footage. So behind me we have everything that we need for scene number 1. I'm only using 3 props in this. I'm not using a ton of props throughout this photo shoot because this is supposed to be a more natural, simple, minimalistic kind of vibe. So we have 2 different backdrop shades here. I'm gonna Photoshop them to be more of a neutral tone, kind of more similar in shade, but let's just get started on setting up the shoot. I'm gonna put the products to the side. This is going to be a group shot. Move my phone out of the way. I'm gonna start off by putting this metallic background on the ground. The reason I chose this is because the brand uses 4 different metallic shimmery shades. They asked if I could use them as backdrops, and I told them using a reflective backdrop is not a smart idea. It's gonna look really, really bad in most of the images. Yes, the metallic backdrops can look good in some of them, but the style they're going for, they don't really want every picture to have that metallic look. So I got this tablecloth, which has that metallic in it, so it'll still have the piece of their branding without taking over the picture and taking away from the products. So I'm going to lay this down right back here, and then I'm simply going to cut it to shape, or if you wanted, you could leave it just like this as is and then roll it back up when you're done, which I think that's what I will opt to do. Now, I want to use this here, which is a cookie sheet, to add some shadow, maybe add a little bit of just texture in the background, still on brand, nothing that's gonna take away from the product, but kind of just enhance the colors and tie it all together. So I'll put that to the side. It's going to be standing up right here, but I wanna get the products in place first. So I'm gonna place this down. This is basically a crystal tea candle holder. I got it from TJ Maxx for like $5, but when there's a product on top, no one knows that it's meant for a tea candle. So it works out perfectly. I'll set that there. I want the products to be a little bit in front of this metallic piece, give a little bit of contrast and a little bit of play in the image. So let's go ahead and set the white one on top of the white rock. And then I'll just set these to the side like so. Then we'll put this here. And I think it might actually look good if I put the packaging in with the drops. And now I'm just going to shimmy this up probably somewhere around there. All right, and that is kind of how I want it. Now that we have all of this here, let me walk you through the lighting that I have going on. We have the Godox SL60W on either side of me. This side has the softbox, and this is just the harsh light. The reason I use the harsh light here is to create those shadows, give this a little bit of depth and dimension, and the softbox is going to illuminate the front of the packaging, give it a nice glow so it's not super dark and you can't even read the labels. And all that's left is to snap the shot. For this next shot, I kept everything exactly the same. I kept the lights the same and the backdrop the same. The only thing we're changing is the scene and the position of the camera. So I have these gold tiles that I found. Again, I want to bring in that metallic, shimmery aspect of the brand without overdoing it. Thought this was the perfect way to do that. So I'm gonna lay this down almost like a track. And then I'm going to take the shampoo, put it on top, and then the conditioner, stack it behind, just to give a little bit of depth in there. And then sticky tack is gonna be your best friend here for all product photography projects. I got this, I think it's a hairpiece or like a bracelet cusp or something. So I'm going to take some, put it at the base, that way it stays standing, and then I'll put some right on one of the leaves so that it sticks against the product and doesn't fall over while I'm trying to shoot. This picture literally took 1 minute to set up. Super simple, super easy. Like, this project is the perfect project to kind of watch to get some of the basics down pat. Now I know this one might come as a shocker, but we're not changing anything. Again, the background, the lighting, it is all staying the same. Now we're going to do a hero shot. The camera, instead of being here or up top, it's going to be down low looking up to make the products look bigger and bolder, more like a website banner cover shot kind of thing. So I have 3 different size foam blocks here, and we're just going to stack them like this. Boop, boop, and boop. And then we're going to put the products right on top. And then simply snap a shot. I know, it seems way too good to be true, but it's true. And this is a really nice shot to do. It comes out really crisp and very beautiful when it doesn't fall. All right, you guys, so I'm gonna quickly show you how I go from this to this. I'm not gonna be going over every single little detail, but I will show you the basics of how I edit this image. So let's go ahead, right click on the image, edit in Adobe Photoshop 2022, and edit a copy with Lightroom adjustments. Hit OK. This is going to open Photoshop. So I first like to start off by naming this first layer background. So this layer we're not going to touch. Control C, Control V, and this is going to copy that layer. Now I'm going to zoom in here. The first thing I'm going to fix is this background. You can see that there is not a nice clean line. So let's scoot on over. We're going to go to the Poly tool, click on it, and make a line from start to finish. If you hold Shift, it'll actually automatically make a straight line for you, but my background is not straight, so I don't need the straight line. I'm gonna go up like this. Now I'm gonna go to the clone stamp tool, make that bigger. Down here you can see the background's a little gray and it's a bit more purple, so I want to take from the area that's purple so that way everything is seamless. You're going to hit Alt, which is going to select an area. So now it's literally stamping that area I selected where that crossbar is, and that is what it is using to determine what color to paint there. If you hit Control D, it'll deselect, and you can see you started making that clean line, but it's still not perfect. Control Z to undo the deselect. Now we're gonna go back to the Poly tool, right click and hit Select Inverse. This is now going to put all of your edits on the outside of this box you selected. Go to the Clone Stamp tool, Alt, and bring that up. You can hold Shift and it'll automatically populate all the way down. The only problem is, as you can see, it gets that repeating looking pattern right here, and I don't like that look. So I'm gonna go in and try to make it look a bit more random so it doesn't look like this weird repeating pattern here. Perfect, Control D. Now we have a perfect line. Makes me so happy to see. And I would do the same to the other side over here. So copying the same exact strategy. Next, we are going to change the background. So I'm going to find an image that I like, click on the background with the eyedropper tool. That's going to select the color that I want. I'm going to go to the brush tool, right click, and go to color replacement. This is going to let me replace the background color, as you can see there. And then we're going to bring it all the way over down in here, just like that. And as you can see, it's starting to turn this background gray. I don't want that, so I'm gonna undo that and lower the tolerance. This means it's gonna change less to that gray color, which is what we want. We don't want anything to change but the background color. Perfect. For here, what I do is I just literally would go in between these holes and just click, 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 and click my heart away until all of this ends up being gray on the inside. I would also take the same tool and change the color down here to that gray so that everything matches. I also want this to not be so yellow, so we're gonna change that to gray because that is the branding guidelines we discussed. And now, once everything is finished and the background is adjusted, this is when I'm gonna go in and I'm going to go ahead and edit the packaging. So I'm gonna use this pen tool. I like it because you can create curves with it. I'm going to hit Alt, click on that dot, and that breaks the chain. If you don't break the chain, then it's gonna keep following that squiggly pattern, and I don't always want it to follow that. So we're just going to bring that in. And then right click, make selection, hit OK. Use the eyedropper tool, select that black shade, go back to your brush tool, make sure your hardness level is down, and also make sure you're on the right layer. All right, and then the hardness tool is gonna give you that soft gradient right there that you see. When you hit Command D, it's like the lid was never messed up to begin with. Now to fix these pesky little spots that you see, we're gonna go in with the spot healing tool and just kind of brush over it. And it's gonna sample spots from other areas surrounding it to fill it in. Bam, perfection. And now same with this reflection here, I'm gonna do the same concept. I'm going to go ahead and select like this. And I'm gonna bring it up again and loop it around. Make selection, okay. Instead of individually going in and getting rid of all of those spots, I'm gonna make this darker anyways, so it's the easiest thing to do. And then Command D, and now all the spots that are left, we can use the spot healing tool to just clean them up. Super quick, super simple. So we went from that to that in like literally 30 seconds. It looks amazing. And then I would just keep using the spot healing tool to fix that label, make sure everything is looking perfect, like so. So once I have the background line fixed up, like I said, I edit the color, and then I go in and get rid of all the spots on the products, and then you would do the same on the floor. If there's any spots, you want to use that spot healing brush to clean it up. Everything needs to look nice. And then you're gonna hit File, Save, and it's going to save that into Lightroom. I'm not gonna save it because I already did this. And now we're gonna end up with an image that looks like this. Once you're back in here, this is the raw from Photoshop. You're gonna wanna do some Lightroom adjustments. And the best way to do that is going to be the brush tool. You can literally brush over the product. You can see what selections I made, and I just edit each product separately. I edited the white products, and then I edited the black products independently because the adjustments they're gonna need are gonna be different because they're different colors. So now the last step in this one, let's go back to develop. We're gonna right click, edit in Adobe Photoshop 2022. We're gonna go back into Photoshop with the same image. I like to start in Lightroom, jump to Photoshop, go back to Lightroom, and then finalize in Photoshop. I have this shadow overlay that I really wanna add. Control V, because I copied it, and now I'm going to paste it. Then we're gonna go to Edit, Free Transform. It's gonna snap in the top there, bring it down there. The shadow looks a little harsh, so we're gonna go ahead and drop it down. Make it look a little softer, and I don't want the shadow going across the products. So the fourth one down is going to be the Object Selection tool. This is the best tool, hands down, in Photoshop. I'm gonna click on all of the products, holding shift in between each click so that it's collecting everything at once. It's gonna take a second because it's gotta calculate like in its brain where it's selecting, but you'll start to see the little marching ants outlining your products, and that means it's selecting everything inside of that. I wanna include the rock as well. And then we're gonna go back to the shadow overlay. When you hit backspace to delete, you'll get this error message that says it's not a smart object. The easiest way to fix this, hit the eraser button, click on it, and it said, oh, click on the shadow, and it says the smart object must be rasterized before proceeding. Just hit OK, it's gonna automatically do it for you. And now you can hit backspace and it's gonna clean that up. I'm going to increase this, the eraser, and kind of just erase down here a little bit because I don't want that shadow too far down because then it would look a little weird. Just like that. Whatever you think looks good, and then you just save it and you end up with this picture. Beautiful and very, very simple to do. Just a little time consuming, but literally anyone can do this if you just take the time, really look at the picture and evaluate what is wrong with it and what you want to correct. So now we are on to the next picture. I have not done anything to this, so we're going to unlock, change the name to background, and I'm gonna slow it down on this one. We're gonna go a bit more in depth, a little slower for you, using the tools we just learned and applying it to this picture. So I'm gonna start off with the spot healing tool, and I have like these water drops. The Sony camera seems to attract a lot of dirt, so we're just gonna fix that. You can see right here, it doesn't go all the way, so I'm gonna crop and bring that in there. And then hit OK. Usually I would crop a little more, but this brand specifically asked me to keep extra space in the images so that way they can add text, graphics, whatever it may be. While I'm also cropping, I'm gonna go ahead and see if this needs any tweaking on the alignment. It looks pretty good, so I'm going to hit Content Aware Fill, which means right here where you see this checkerboard, it's gonna fill that in so it's not blank, because when I cropped it, it cropped outside the picture a little bit. So now we have this picture here. I see some marks on the background and that looks good. All right, now let's clean up our lines. Control C, Control V, get the poly tool, and we're gonna select and select. Make our little box again. Just to reiterate, this box means that I'm only editing inside of this. This helps you maintain kind of like coloring in the lines almost. It's just easier. Less cleanup later on. So I'm gonna start on the product because if you see, I want this to line up perfectly. So it's gonna line that line up with the product, hold shift, and make that line all the way over. Easy as pie. You can hit D and see that we did that in like 2 seconds. Amazing, literally magic. Now we're gonna, that's too far over. Align with the product again. And then I might need to do a separate line here to make sure this bottle's lined up perfectly. Perfect. Now we're gonna do the same thing once again. If you can see, I'm catching that C a little bit, which means my circle is too wide. There we go, that's perfect. Drag that line over, hold shift, and bam. Perfect, and now we have perfect lines. So the next step that I wanna do is color adjustments. So I told you before I like to start in Lightroom, but since I didn't start in Lightroom, you can still do this in Photoshop. So you can go to Filter. Actually, let's first duplicate this layer so we have backup. Filter, Camera Raw Filter. And this is literally gonna open what Lightroom does for you. You can go to Basics, you can use the tool, the dropper tool to get that white balance in there. You can adjust this, bring up those shadows, darken it, highlights, bring them down, curve. Let's bring that highlight up, and bam. Got a little bit of tweaking done. I like to get just a tad bit of tweaking. I'll tweak more later, but I want to go ahead and get the background color adjusted, and then I like to adjust everything else. So we're gonna make a duplicate of that layer we just edited. We're gonna go to the color replacement tool because we just selected this gray tone, which I really like. Make sure your mode is set to color, which means it's gonna change the color of it. just like this. Then we can paint. Very simple picture, very easy fix. Go back to that picture I liked, take the other color, and let's replace the bottom. It's just so relaxing. I love the pictures where I get to go all out, but pictures like this are really nice because they're just so easy, they're so simple, they're clean, there's not a bunch of detailed editing, so I really do appreciate these ones. Now we have this gold in here, and as you can see, the gold is like 3 different shades. So we're gonna pick part of the gold, and we're just gonna bring that on this. And if you feel like it's not catching enough, increase that tolerance, and there you go. We'll change the colors a little easier for you. Bam. And then we can go ahead and change the color on this metal piece here to give it the same exact gold look. Perfect. And now you can even drop the opacity a little bit if you wanted, but I think that looks good. I'm going to merge all of these top layers, and we're gonna edit the bottles. Let's start with this one. Let's get that brush tool out. Or not brush tool, the spot healing tool. And let's just start cleaning up these reflections, these dirt specks, shadows, whatever it may be. Just go through, clean it up, zoom in, take the time to do this. It really pays off in the end. Even if something is super like micro small, just do it. Trust me, trust yourself, go for it. Really, I just love going to town with the spot healing tool. There's other methods you could use, but this is quick, it works for me, so I'm gonna stick to it. There's no right or wrong way to do Photoshop. There are more efficient ways to do Photoshop, but if you know how to get from point A to point B and you learn how to use the tools you have accessible and the tools that you know, you're gonna be fine. And then whenever you have extra time, watch some videos on YouTube, watch some tutorials, learn how to get a faster workflow or a faster process. It definitely will help you long term because then you can crank out more content, so it's worth it to learn Photoshop a little bit more. Now we're gonna zoom out and bam, the products look good. I'm gonna add this shadow overlay and I'm gonna split this into 2 because I want them to be on 2 different parts. Control C, I copied it, I'm gonna delete it, and then I'm gonna paste it back. So now we have 2 different spots we're working with. So we're gonna bring that up a little bit. I know what you're thinking, what are we gonna do with all that white space? That looks weird. I know. We're gonna go here where it says normal, and we're just gonna find whatever setting looks good. I think multiply is gonna look the best. And then you take the eraser tool, make sure the hardness is all the way down, make that brush a little bigger, and then we can simply, make sure that opacity is at 100. And simply just blend it like that. Boop. Very, very easy. And then we'll do the same exact thing with this one. Edit, retransform, bring it up here, multiply, and take that eraser and boop, boop, boop. Boop your life away. There we go. And bam! Now all that's left is to bring it into Lightroom, make your final adjustments, your final tweaks, edits, and here is the end result for that picture. Very simple, took like 5 minutes, maybe 10, straight to the point. This was a really easy shoot to fix and to edit. And it was the same tools we used for the picture previously, which was more complex, but it was just more time consuming because there was more to do. It's not like we did anything really that much extra. Now that we got the basic shots out of the way, let's do one that might end up being a little bit more complex. This one's kind of like your typical hero shot, where I did the different focus levels. As you can see, this first one here, hair oil is very in focus, and these 2 are a little bit out. Let's find one where the signature shampoo is in focus. Perfect. So we're gonna shift, click on both of those images, right click, edit in Adobe Photoshop 2022, or actually, my bad. Edit in, open as layers in Adobe Photoshop 2022. This is going to open up both images together. That way we can layer them. So unlike we did last time, we're not gonna have a base layer quite yet. We're gonna move that one to the back. So this first layer looks like hair oil and conditioner looks good. We want the shampoo to be in focus. So we're gonna click on the first layer and we're just gonna erase over the shampoo because the layer underneath it, shampoo, is in focus. So by erasing this top layer, it's revealing the layer underneath. Then you're gonna shift, click, and hit merge. Now we have this one image. And we're gonna go ahead and save it before we do anything else. As you can see, there are quite a bit of dots on this screen. So we're gonna take that spot healing tool and go in there and just clean up that mess. Something is popping up here, so we'll run the tool over that. Let's clean up these foam blocks a little bit. And nice. It's looking pretty. Okay. So let's first do some color adjustments. So like the last one, we can simply do our color adjustments here. Filter, camera raw filter, and we're just gonna get some basic adjustments done before we touch that background. Let's get the white balance tool. That looks okay. Let's bring those highlights up. Oh, beautiful. Bring these highlights down. Bring in that contrast. Shadows. Bring that exposure up a little bit, actually. Then bring those highlights down. Blacks. All right, that's looking decent. That'll work for me. And now let's save. So we have that edit saved. I'm going to Control C and Control V, copying that layer. We're gonna go find an image that we like, use that eyedropper tool, get the color we want, and start painting in that background, like so. Got a little bit on the block, that's okay, I'll show you how we can fix it. This is why we create that base layer underneath, because we gotta straighten out those blocks anyways. And as you can see, when you change the color, you can see a bit more spot on here, but we'll fix that. We will get there. You're gonna click on the bottom with the poly tool, hold shift, and that's gonna create straight lines for us here. Go down, hold shift, create that straight line, hold shift again, and do that. Backspace, get rid of all that extra color we accidentally put in there. And now go back to the tool, select inverse. Now everything outside is selected, which means we can do this clone stamp tool, and just like with the background, we're just gonna copy like that. And that's gonna give us a straight line. So with here, it looks like I went a little too high up. So it's fine. I will just make it hard for a sec. Like so. Bring it down. Bring it around town. And I'll just leave that like that. And then up here, let's go to this side. I usually try to stick to the sides. Fix those at first. Select inverse. You can see there's a little bit messed up there. So we're gonna just fix that inside layer. And go like that. Get rid of that gray that's still in the pink a little bit. Perfect. And there we go, our lines are a bit more straight, as you can see. Now we're going to copy that bottom layer, merge it with the top, that way we have one image again. Now, I do see some more spots on the screen, so let's go fix those spots real quick. You can see where the backdrop was bent right here, but that's okay. We'll deal with it later. I want to change the color of the blocks. Control C, Control V. I want them to be white. So we're gonna go to the color replacement tool. And let's do, let's try trying to see what the best way to do this is. Sometimes you gotta experiment to see what's gonna pick up what. I'm doing the object selection tool to see if maybe, perfect, look at that. It selected the box exactly. Sometimes it doesn't, so you have to use other methods or manually trace things out. And then last but not least, this little guy there. Oh wow, that makes my life so easy. Color replacement tool. Let's go to color first. Color that bad boy in. It's gonna give you that gray. And then we're gonna use the luminosity to make it white, to bring it up to that white shade. And this is where you need to pay attention. I might confuse you here, fair warning. We're gonna color that in, and you're gonna see it's gonna be white, pure white. You can't even see the definition in the blocks. Control D to deselect. We're gonna Control C to copy that layer, and then we're gonna undo the brightness. Control D, deselect, Control V to paste. Now you have the light layer on top of the color you did. So we can just adjust how bright we're gonna want it to be. That doesn't look bad, cool. Now I'm gonna merge all of these top layers. We went from this to this already. Now if you'll notice on the black packaging, there's still a bit of pink. So I'm gonna go to the color replacement tool, select the black, and we're just gonna, make sure we're in color and not luminosity for the mode. And we're just gonna paint on the product to cancel out any of those pinky shadows, because we don't want those reflections on there. And when shooting this, I chose a darker background than what I'm gonna change it to, simply because the product is white, some of them, so I want the product to separate from the background. While we're here, let's go ahead and make these gold. Let's golden them up a little bit. Bring them back to their true color. Bam! Bam, bam, turkey and ham. Merge layers, and of course, file, save. Now, here's the fun part. Control C, Control V. We're gonna go back to the camera raw filter. I want it to have kind of an ombre effect behind. You can achieve this in while you're photographing. Put a light behind it. Sometimes I forget, sometimes my light's not charged, or sometimes I don't know what I want to do with the image, so I'll just wait until I get into post-production to make any of these decisions. I'll just drop the lights. As you can see, it made the white packaging overly bright, so we're just gonna use the brush tool, go over that, and only drop the highlight over the white packaging. That way the white packaging isn't overexposed anymore, like so. And while we're here, we can just go ahead and get these set up to edit. I'm gonna run the mouse over these, brush in that black, drop the black, increase the noise reduction to get rid of some of that fluff in there, maybe even bump up that contrast, and bam, we'll edit it more later, but now you can see the difference that that one little adjustment made. If you feel like it's too bright, you can drop it to kind of blend the two images together, like this. That's pretty, I like that. All right, now, since this layer is kind of opaque, 73%, we're gonna merge it with the layer below it. Control C, Control V. And now we're going to edit the products. And now I do wanna add a shadow, like that. All right, now we're gonna do that trick I showed you earlier. We're gonna select all of the products and the blocks. My brain is going blank here. And then we're gonna just delete that shadow from over top of it because we want the shadow to be on the background, not on the products, which is very, 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 very important to remember. Then we're gonna file, save, and it's gonna bring it into Lightroom. We're gonna make our final adjustments to it, and we'll be all set with this project. I feel like the Jeopardy sound, the do 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 do, every time I'm waiting for things to populate. We're gonna go with that radial tool to kind of bring in a little more here. There we go. Draw those blacks. Beautiful. Sharpen, and then do noise reduction. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, this kind of in-depth before and post-production photo shoot. I'll go ahead and throw up the entire collection for you guys so you can see the kind of variations of images that were in here. I wanted to do very basic editing with you guys today before we get into stuff that's a bit more advanced. So yeah, if you found any kind of value in this video, please give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing. And I hope you have an amazing rest of your day and best of luck on your photography journey. If you have any tips you want to share with me, go ahead and leave it down below. If you're wanting to work with me, reach out, DM me on Instagram, send me an email, go on my website and use the contact us form, whatever is easiest for you. And I hope y'all have a great day and I will see you in the next one. Bye.